What's up, YouTube? Welcome back to Celio's Network. This deck profile I have for you today is on Stefan Ivanov's Silvally water variant that he was playing on stream round 5 at LAIC during day 1. I have heard that this deck was made by Jonathan Croxton. I'm not sure if Jonathan Croxton and Stefan both played the same list. But that's what I heard. So anyway, I've gotten this list by watching the stream match round 5 over and over, and I think I've come to a 60 card deck that I'm fairly confident, if it is not the same 60 Stefan played, then it is very, very close to it. I've watched the match over normal speed, fast speed, and slow speed during the times when he shuffles his deck, and then taking into account the cards in his hand, discard pile, prize cards, tried to come up with a 60 card deck for you guys from watching the stream match over and over. I'm really interested in this deck. I think it's really cool. I want to see evolution decks succeed. I like seeing Blastoise and Piplup being used, so let's take a look at the cards. So kind of the backbone of the deck is the Silvally line. There's 4 type Null, and then 3 of the new Silvally-GX with disc reload. Once during your turn, you may draw cards until you have 5 cards in your hand. Brave Buddies does 120 if you played a supporter card this turn. And then Silver Knight GX knocks out the active if it's a GX Pokemon. So this is here for its disc reload ability and also for its Brave Buddies attack, which is pretty solid. Disc reload is really good. You know, just empty your hand with tag team supporters and Great Catcher, and then draw back up to see if you can get what you need. And then one of the older Silvally-GX, which I like this because I also had this Silvally-GX included in my builds I was working on that had Silvally-GX included. I think Flygon and Silvally-Volcarona. So this one, Gyro Unit, your basic Pokemon in play have no retreat cost, Turbo Drive 120, and attach a basic from the discard to one of your benched. And the reason why I like it in here, because it could just be a bomb that you drop. Rebel GX does 50 damage for each of your opponent's benched Pokemon, and since this can come out of nowhere since you have red and blue, so you can just go from a type Null to a Silvally-GX with 2 waters and then attach another water, and boom, you have Rebel GX. So that's a nice attacker that's kind of like, it's not the reason we're playing Silvally in here, but it's nice to have since we already have this line of support Pokemon, so why not throw in a Pokemon with a pretty decent GX attack. Then there is the 3/3 Quagsire line with Washout. As often as you like during your turn, you may move a water energy for one of your bench Pokemon to your active Pokemon. So you can just move your water energy around. This is really cool because of red and blue. So you can red and blue water energy onto Quagsire or Silvally and then move it to whatever you want it on. And also Quagsire's Hydro Pump can do a decent amount of damage. Then we have Blastoise and Piplup Tag Team, which is new, and this is the first time I'm talking about it on the channel. So 270 HP basic water tag team GX. Water colorless splash maker 150. You may attach up to 3 water energy cards from your hand to your Pokemon any way you like. Heal 50 damage from those Pokemon for each card you attach to them in this way. So I think it's less about the acceleration and less about the heal, and more so that you're doing 150 with a 270 HP Pokemon, which can be hard for some things to knock out. And then Bubble Launcher does 100 for 3, and if you have 6 energy instead of 3, then it does 250 and paralyzes. So I do think Splash Maker probably gets value every now and again, but I think it's in here more so because it's a 3 energy for 150 beat stick that has 270 HP. And then of course, speaking of beat sticks, we have Keldeo-GX. Its Pure Heart ability prevents all effects of attacks, including damage done to this Pokemon, by your opponent's Pokemon GX or EX, so Pure Heart's very good. Sonic Edge 110, and it goes through effects, and then Resolute Blade is the same GX attack as Silvally-GX again. So you have Resolute Blade, And then you also have the Rebel GX. So the Rebel GX, like I was saying, that's a reason to include this Silvally. It's because so you can red and blue into this and get the energy on, even if you have like a mediocre setup and you can't get your Quagsire, and you can still attack. Whereas Keldeo, you cannot red and blue energy right to it. You have to have the full setup of Quagsire. And I did mention Gyro Unit, your basic Pokemon in play of no retreat cost, and that is also a very good attribute of Silvally-GX. I didn't want to imply that it's just here for the Rebel GX, because while I do like the Rebel GX Gyro Unit, you can see on the stream match round 5, it actually does help out Stefan moving his Pokemon around a bit. And then our last attacker here is Lopunny and Jigglypuff Tag Team GX. Jumping Volume does 60 plus 60 more damage for each of your opponent's Pokemon GX and EX in play. So if they have 3 GXs in play, you're doing 240. If they have 4 GXs in play, you're doing 300. It's a ton of damage, and also note that they're not just benched. Puffy Smashers does 200 to a bench Pokemon for 5. I guess that's okay, but if you're doing that much damage to a bench Pokemon, it's probably because it's a GX Pokemon, and you can just Great Catcher those up. But if you need to snipe something on the bench, you have the option as long as you have the energy available. And then the one Ditto, since we're playing 2 Stage 2 lines, and resetting whole Marshadow to get rid of Power Plants. We have some important GX abilities in Pure Heart and Disc Reload and Gyro Unit to an extent. And then they were also playing the Mew bench barrier, so I guess looking out for Pikarom and Venom Shot, and maybe even opposing Puffy Smashers that can knock out their Quagsires. Onto the trainers, they're running a Tag Call engine, so search your deck for up to 2 tag team cards. Pokemon-wise, they do have the 2 Blastoise Piplup and the Lopunny, but then supporters, the 4 red and blue, the 2 Cynthia Caitlin, and the 2 Mallow Lana. I really like Tag Call engines, so even if you don't get your preferred turn 1 supporter, which is Professor Oak's setup, you can Tag Call out a Cynthia Caitlin to at least draw some cards for your first turn. So Professor Oak's setup will go on over to that. Search your deck for up to 3 basic Pokemon of different types, put them on your bench, shuffle your deck. So this can get like a type Null, a Keldeo or Blastoise Piplup, and a Wooper. So the Wooper, there being a fighting type Wooper, is very useful for this purpose. So you can get both a Wooper and one of your attackers. And you'll usually get the type Null, not the Ditto, because you cannot red and blue into Dittos. Since red and blue reads, you have to search your deck for a GX that evolves from one of the Pokemon. So you'll want to get type Null with that. Some consistency cards other than Tag Call. A few Acro Bike are here, as well as some Pokemon Communications. And then, of course, Cynthia is just a solid supporter to fill out the space in a deck when you want some more draw supporters, since this deck really doesn't have a ton of draw options supporter-wise. The Cynthia Caitlin is a small draw effect of 3, and then the Cynthia is a draw of 6. But using the Cynthia Caitlin, the Mallow Lana, and the red and blue, discarding extra cards from your hand for the effects, in combination with Disc Reload, is what really gets you drawing cards with this deck. The Mallow Lana is super good. Switch and heal 120, especially on Blastoise Piplup. If you can like switch heal 120 and then switch back into it in Splash Maker to heal the remaining damage, that seems kind of insane. Also mentioning the Chaotic Swell. This stadium is just kind of a buffer, so they can't play down their power plants as easily, so that's very nice. And like I was mentioning, the red and blue, I'll just go over the card real quick in case you don't fully know what it does. This is like the backbone of why this deck can work. Search your deck for a GX that evolves from one of your Pokemon, put it onto that Pokemon to evolve it. You can discard 2 other cards from your hand to search your deck for 2 basic energy cards and attach them to the Pokemon you evolved in this way. So evolving a Quagsire and then putting 2 energy from the deck, or evolving a Silvally, then putting 2 energy from the deck. And if that's on turn 2 and you attach turn 1 and you can attach from hand turn 2, that's 4 energy down on your board. And that means you can attack with any of your attacks, really, or any of your non Tag Team GX attacks for the extra abilities. So you can use your Splash Maker, Sonic Edge, Resolute Blade, Brave Buddies, Rebel, Turbo Drive, Jumping Balloon. So you can accelerate, even if you miss an energy attachment turn 1 or turn 2, you can still accelerate to 3 energy turn 2 and use your washout to move the energy wherever you need it, and you're good to go from there. So this deck is definitely one of the more unique ones that I've seen come out of LAIC so far, so I definitely wanted to show it off. And like I said, I think I have the 60 here. Hopefully after the tournament we'll get the lists. Stefan Ivanov made day 2 with it, so we'll probably get the list by default somehow with Arcanine Labs or whatever. But I hope you guys enjoyed this video. I will export this list and put it in the description below in case you want to copy it into your PTCGO. And I'll see you next time here on Celio's Network.